Hello everyone, back to you in today's video. We're going to have a look at weather going out in towards the second half of May in today's video. Really following along from the video I did on Tuesday when I was talking about the very unsettled conditions that it looked like we could get as going to the middle of the month and perhaps beyond the middle of the month. Still on course for that this morning. Some really grim looking charts actually today for the second half of the month. Looks like we're going to get a big trough setting up around the British Isles, producing a lot of potentially a lot of rain and pretty cool temperatures as well. So it looks like we're reverting back to the pattern we had earlier in the year through the winter and into March, with blocking to the north and the trough setting up around British Isles. Also the pattern we've had through many of the summers recently. It's concerning to see this pattern setting up as we're going towards the summer now. Of course, very early days. I wouldn't be writing off the whole of the summer yet. Even if we have wet starts for the summer, we may well find that things pick up later on in the summer, so don't go writing off the whole of the summer on this. But it's concerning anyway to see this pattern beginning to re-emerge once again. Now, for a gun video, I just want to explain about the way I'm talking. I've had an operation on my mouth, as you probably know, a mild operation. It's getting better, but it's getting better very slowly, very gradually, and I've still got a bit of a speech impediment today. So if you have any job to understand some of the things I'm trying to say in the video, then I apologise that. Hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to say. Just going to start off with today's facts chart, because we've got a really poor day today, very unsettled, deep area of low pressure over the country, and that's bringing gales and heavy rain in across England and Wales in particular. So this is below pressure here, 993 millibars, and these are the tightly packed isobars on the southern side of that low pressure, bringing those strong winds and gales. Remember, the facts charts are the human interpretation of the models by the forecasters at the Met Office. So this is today's generic GFS chart. This is the generic chart, and the facts charts are based on these generic charts, of course, with just a little bit of human input as well. And again, it's very similar. There's a low pressure sitting across northern England, but tightly packed isobars on the southern side of that low pressure, bringing windy weather to all of England and Wales, but particularly around the southern and western coast where we have got those gales. So have a look at the wind forecast from the GFS model. This is for 6 o'clock this evening. We see that where we've got these yellow colours, that's where the gales are. Gusts of wind up to 60, maybe 70 miles an hour around some of those exposed headlands of the southwestern and southern coast. So really windy down in the southwest. Very windy elsewhere across England and Wales as well, with maybe gusts up to gale force almost anywhere, but it's particularly down in the southwest I think that we have the risk of maybe some structural damage with those winds. Now, as we go through the course of the evening, those winds will moderate, but still very windy at midnight tonight down in the southwest. But by the time we get through to 6 o'clock on Friday morning, yes, we will be seeing those winds starting to die down. Still breezy, quite windy in the southwest, but certainly nothing like the sort of damaging winds or gale force winds that we're going to have through the rest of today and into this evening. It's also very wet, this wind, and here's the latest radar picture from the UK Met Office. Very wet here across many western parts of the country, southwest Scotland, through the Irish Sea, into northwest England, Wales. Not too wet actually in the southwest, but with some rain coming through there. This rain will be pushing eastwards, I think, through the course of the day, driven on by that wind. So yes, a very wet and windy, unpleasant sort of spring day across many parts of the country today, a proper spring storm. Now, as I say, going out beyond this, it looks like we're going to get a trough setting up around the British Isles. These are the 8 to 10 day 500 millibar height anomaly charts, and I like to use, got the ECMWF here on the left, the GFS on the right, 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is where we've got weather going on. High pressure and low pressure is developing in that part of the atmosphere, and it's moved around by the jet stream, and that's really what gives us our weather. Notice we're very much into a trough ridge type pattern here. We've got a ridge in the Atlantic, the trough is over the British Isles, the ridge sitting there to the northeast of Scandinavia and into western Russia. That'll be bringing some very warm weather to Russia, and then a trough going out into central parts of Russia Another ridge going back towards the east of Russia, and then a trough there again setting up around Alaska. So yes, it's very much a case of a trough ridge pattern, and this is the kind of pattern we've been seeing a lot over the last few summers. We had some really hot summers actually over western parts of Russia. Remember in Moscow they had that very intense heat wave in 2010, and it's really as a result of these troughs and ridges that we've been seeing over the last few summers. And unfortunately, we in the British Isles have been tending to be stuck under the trough, and when you're stuck under the trough, particularly in summer when there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere, of course the atmosphere is quite warm, then you get the potential for a lot of rain, and that's why I've had such cool wet summers, while further east across eastern parts of Europe and into Russia they've had much warmer, hotter summers. And it looks like this pattern is re-emerging over the next 8 to 10 days anyway. And I say I wouldn't be right off the whole of summer on this, but it is concerning that as we're moving towards summer, we seem to be seeing the patterns reverting back to the kind of summers we've had quite a lot just recently. So we've got the ECMWF there on the left, the GFS on the right, both setting up a very similar scene with the trough over the British Isles and the ridge away to the east. GFS ensembles are showing that we're going to be cool for the foreseeable future. Temperatures really around or below average for the foreseeable future. Sometimes we spike up towards the average. Remember, the red line is where we should be, but generally we're a little bit below average. Of course, the sun will warm things up, so temperatures won't necessarily be that cold when you've got sunshine, but really the temperatures are below average. And a lot of precipitation spikes coming up as well, indicating we're in for quite an unsettled spell. That's for London. Manchester ensemble very similar. Actually, interestingly, the London ensemble is probably a little bit wetter going into the second half of the month than the Manchester ensemble. That's something that you don't see all that often, and probably implies that we're bringing in southerly tracking lows. And just have a look at the Moscow ensemble. That's where it's going to be warm. That's where the early summer is. Temperatures well above average for Moscow under that ridge. So again, it does look as though we're reverting back to the sort of patterns we've had quite a lot over the last few summers. Temperature anomalies for the next week, 9th to 16th of May, going to be below average across the British Isles and across much of Central and Western Europe as well. Notice the red is to the east, in the east of Europe, and particularly centred around Western Russia. That's where it's going to be hot and sunny. So the generic charts from models are really quite grim this morning. This is the GFS for the middle of next week, Wednesday 15th of May, and that low pressure is stuck right over top of the country. The trough there indicated by the black line. The black line is the jet stream. It's digging southwards. There's the ridge in the Atlantic, the trough around the west of Europe, and then the ridge again up to the northeast. That's where the warmth is, with the ridge in the northeast, but we are unfortunately stuck under that trough, and we're going to remain stuck under the trough then as we go out to the 16th and beyond that, in towards the 17th. We try to get this little ridge of high pressure building in across the country from the Atlantic, but generally heights are still in the Atlantic and away to the east, and we're still generally under that trough over the west of Europe. And another low pressure then starts to dive southwards as we move through towards Monday the 20th. Look at all this blocking beginning to appear to the north of Scandinavia and around Iceland. That's concerning to see that as well. That's associated with the upper ridge over the west of Europe, really, over the west of Russia, really, but it's concerning to see that northern blocking, and the trough is still there around British Isles, and that actually that low pressure there could bring in a lot of heavy rain in across England and Wales if that's right, but it's a long way off. That's 276 hours away, so can't really use that for detail. Have a look at the ECMWF. The ECMWF is really grim this morning. Just look at these charts. You've got this blocking up to the north, the trough there sitting over the country. Now look what happens with this area of low pressure as we go through towards the end of next week. This taking us to Friday the 17th of May. We've got this low pressure developing down across the southwest. That will be bringing some very heavy rain. Notice the blocking the ridge up to the north and the northeast and out in the Atlantic. But keep an eye on this low pressure. What happens as we go in towards Saturday the 18th, it starts to move in across the country. That will bring a lot of heavy rain across England and Wales. So as we get through to Sunday, the 19th of May, that low pressure has deepened and it's sitting right over the country. That will bring a washout weekend. It will be a washout weekend, not this weekend but the following weekend. If that is right, that will bring a lot of heavy rain, particularly to England and Wales. We would have to keep an eye on that because there would be the risk, I think, of some localised flooding. Very grim ECMW left this morning. The GM, the Canadian, again got the trough sitting over the country for the middle of next week. The ridge is to the west and to the northeast. As we go beyond this, well, what we see is that low pressure diving southwards to the south of the country. And then we sort of all end up quite flat, but again, the general idea is that we've got the ridge to the west, the ridge to the east, and we are underneath the trough. The details are a little bit different, as often is with the GM, but the idea is more or less the same. As we go out towards Saturday the 18th and Sunday the 19th, well, we remain stuck in the situation, really. We're in the position of the ridge to the west, the blocking to the northeast, and we are stuck underneath that trough. And look at all this northern blocking beginning to re-emerge between Greenland and the north of Scandinavia. A lot of northern blocking up there. That's concerning to see that as well. So I'm afraid we've got some really grim looking charts there coming up as we go out into the second half of the month. I think we really could be seeing some very unsettled weather, cool weather, and potentially there is potential there for it to turn very, very wet as we go into the second half of next week. So I'm going to have to keep you updated on it because things are looking really quite grim for the middle and second half of May. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.